Hi, I'm Paul Cypkus, the web developer on the OCCA website project. This video demonstrates for students how to self-assess and evidence their OCCAM. Now, to evidence your OCCAM as a student, you go in through your toolbar and you click the self-assess your OCCAM link, or you can click on step 4 in the practice process down here. They're identical. The cumulative overview is the view that is read-only, so it shows you where you're at in terms of which assessments you've already done. Whereas self-assess shows you where you're at, but it also allows you to add new ones. When we go into self-assess, you'll see here there's some important instructions here that you need to read. I won't go into those in this, you can read that in your own time. I'll just basically go through how to self-assess using this tool. Now, the occupational therapy practice process is integral to this matrix, so you need to be fairly familiar with what each of these steps mean. So, because what you select here will be what you are self-assessing for in the occupational therapy practice process. So, if I select step 4, identification of occupational issues, it will take me to step 4 on the OCCAM. Now the OCCAM is divided into the practice themes, so in this case it's step 4, identification of occupational issues, and each column is a different level of competence. So if you select this column, you're selecting being client-centered, it's your practice theme, and your sub-theme or your competency statement in here is identifies occupational issues in collaboration with the client. So you tick that. And once you've started ticking, it'll pop up this little box on the left here, and it'll tell you which areas you've already looked at. So just say I have got being client-centered under occupational therapy practice process, identification of occupational issues emerging, and being client identifies occupational issues in collaboration with the client, describes the occupational issues found and can be identified. So I might tick that one, and I might feel like I'm pretty good communicator, so participates in discussion of prioritization at consolidating. Now if I go to step 5 or step 7 and I start here, look, I might say, okay, participates in informal, okay, so I'm pretty efficient at maintaining quality, so I'll say that. Okay, so these each of these comes up here, so as you keep evidencing, you can keep ticking more. I've already done step 4, so you can keep going to different steps, and you can evidence one step, or you can evidence multiple steps depending on how you want to use it. Now, once you've done that, you can also go back to what you've already assessed and have a look. You can click on each of these links that it's added here and go back to what you've already viewed. Now, to recap from the introductory video, the legend up here explains what these colours mean. Now the yellow indicates a current verified competency. So this is a competency that you've self-assessed and that a practice educator has verified. So if I tick this competency statement, or I'll show you in step 4, if I tick this competency statement, which has actually already been verified, but I may want to verify it more than once, that's fine. Then this would be, once it's uploaded and it's verified, this would be yellow. And I'll just to give you an example, I click on this this one because this is a previously verified OCCAM. So I'll click in here and I'll show you what I mean. Now, if you see here, these ones have been highlighted in yellow, and because I've clicked on that in yellow. Because I've clicked on that, it's gone into the overview mode, or which means I can't upload here, but I can view it. Okay. Now, if I go back to the previous one, okay, and this is the one where I can actually assess. Just to note that if you do that, click on there, it'll reset this. So it's best to just stay in here. Now, so the previously verified competencies are anything that's been verified in the past. Now the blue indicates what's the self-assessments that you have that you've put in yourself, but that have not yet been verified by your practice educator. So if I tick these and then I submit them, then they'll come up as blue, and I'll show you that in a minute. I'll just go in, tick step 3, put in a step 6 as well, completes intervention, participates in ensuring. Okay, now I'll save and upload that. Now what will happen here is it'll show me a new box. I can add a title for this evidence. This can be anything meaningful to you and your practice educator and your lecturer. Just be sure that you use terminology and language that is very clear when you're writing this. And you can put a description in, optional. This is an optional description. You don't have to do this. And you can also go down here, and you'll see here, these are what I've just ticked. So the steps I've just self-assessed by ticking the boxes are being a professional, occupational assessment and intervention. I've also done that at emerging and consolidating level. So if I click save, that'll save that, and it'll say upload successful, evidence added. This evidence will not count towards your competencies until your practice educator has validated your self-assessment. Now, once you see this, you can go to view this outcome self-assessment in your e-portfolio, or you can add another piece, another outcome self-assessment. Now, I'm not going to add another because you've got rewind and you can go back and see how I did it. So what I'm going to do is go to view this outcome self-assessment in your e-portfolio. So I'll go back here, it'll open it up and put it at the top of the page. So this yellow one is the one I just added, and I can see here occupational assessment, being a professional, occupational assessment intervention, and emerging consolidating are the two levels that it's evidencing. Okay, so in your e-portfolio, one of the main things you need to know too, and this is something that is very important for making things efficient and easy to use for your practice educator, is that there's an option here that you can choose in down the bottom when you expand each of these tabs, is you can actually highlight these in colours. Now you might think, well, why would I want to highlight my stuff in colours? You know, what's the point of that? Now the reason you do this is so that you can organise with your practice educator what sort of colour you might want to use for each of the pieces of evidence that they need to assess. So, you know, you might agree that a certain type of evidence that or self-assessment that you've uploaded might be in green, and then you make sure you communicate with your educator, and then they can look for a green piece of evidence when they log in, because they're time poor and they always appreciate you being on the ball with these things. Now, so what will happen then is that when you highlight these, this will actually appear on top of the list, for the practice educator when they view your profile. So it'll make it a lot easier for them to find your work. And we've added this as a flexibility option. So some people might think, oh, why didn't you just make it, you know, the most recent ones appear at the top, which we actually do. We actually make these appear the most recent ones at the top. But we just found in our testing that, and when we trialled this, that it was much easier when students and educators communicate with each other well, and they decide on, you know, certain protocols and ways of presenting things that between them. And it also provides a level of flexibility so that you can use it in a way, you know, that you want, rather than just being forced into a mold by this website, which we're trying to make as flexible as possible. Now, I hope that's clear, and so you can actually use, obviously you can highlight as many things. Whichever things you highlight here will display in colour at the top of the page in the educator's view. So that concludes the self-assessment instructions for students. If you're an educator and you'd like to see how to verify, please have a look at the OCCEM verification video, how to verify student self-assessments using the OCCEM. Thank you.